Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Brant with CPC Bodybuilding, the home of men's classic physique. Today, got a preview of the Taiwan Pro with Australian classic physique pro Matt Orchard. Matt, thanks for taking the time and joining the show, man.
Man, thanks for having me on, man. Like I said to you earlier, like I've been a big fan of you for a while, and you said some really nice things about me in my recent pro debut. So I thought I'd return the favor and jump on the potty with you for sure.
Yeah, man, it's an absolute pleasure, dude. And so, if you guys don't know Matt, we're going to show you his socials so you guys can find him there. Coming off a super successful pro rookie season, so this is Matt's page, and this was his most recent showing at the Oklahoma Pro where he took third place. And as you can see, great classic shape, lines are there. Like this dude's got a very bright future. So, if you guys want to follow Matt here on Instagram, it's Matthew Orchard, and you can find his links there. He also coaches as well if you're interested in coaching.
Hmm.
So make sure you guys go give Matt a follow there. So we got the Taiwan Pro, like I mentioned. This is on Sunday this week. So really small lineup. We got a couple of Aussie guys in there, and then some guys from miscellaneous Asian countries. So we got Cal Hins out of Australia, Muratkin Karahasanlar out of Australia, but also is a Turkish guy, so representing Turkey here. He just recently moved to Australia for bodybuilding. And then we've got Jin Hyuk Kim from South Korea, who I believe is making his pro debut as well here. We've also got Naoto Takamoto out of Japan, Suki Wong, who's making his pro debut from Taiwan, and Ahmed Wolf. But I think his real name is actually Ahmed Hamid, if you guys are looking for him on social. So he's easier to find, I think, with Ahmed Wolf, but official name's Ahmed Hamid. So six-man lineup, but does not lack any quality here. We'll get into it here. We got Cal Hins out of Australia. So he's our first guy and definitely one of the favorites heading into this one for good reason.
For
Debuted
sure.
at Pittsburgh last year, also did the New York Pro. So Matt, what stands out to you as some of Cal's strengths?
Oh, his shape and the whole package together is elite. So Cal and I have competed against each other before. So he actually beat me when he turned pro. So we were the final two in the overall. He pipped me by one, and we honestly had like the greatest time backstage. I got a lot of love and a lot of respect for Callum. The camaraderie backstage is not something you sort of see, before an overall. Guys about to battle it out. But no, I got a lot of respect for Cal, and he's obviously got a world class physique. He obviously put his name on the map with his pro debut last year, the year before. And he's put on some crazy, crazy size since then. So I think I'm expecting big things from Cal for sure.
Yeah, likewise, man. I love his physique, and I
Yeah.
think a lot of this hype is justified, just given that if I wish I could find a side by side. I don't think he's done any recent. Oh, here we go. So this was the start of prep
Hmm.
versus 2 weeks out, and like you could tell he got big in the off season, but like he put on that's quality size. Like he's still
Oh
pretty
yeah.
lean. You can see the lines, like everything, and structure is maintained through all of that. Like he does look a lot bigger to me, and he's already just like he's one of those guys who, when you see him in person too, he looks a lot bigger than you think. Like his physique kind of comes to life as he poses.
Absolutely.
So I really think Cal's going to do very well here, and has added some quality size to really just bring up that great shape that he has and highlight those lines. So I think Cal's going to do really well.
Yeah, he like when he turned pro, he had some like really, really amazing body parts and probably some body parts that I think he would be the first to admit were probably a little bit behind. Um, but he's definitely brought all those up now, and like as far as I'm aware, and as far as I'm concerned, he's about as complete as he can get. Like he's got a really small waist. Like his lats insert probably a little bit higher than some guys, but he uses it sort of to his advantage the way that he poses around it, which is something that doesn't get acknowledged by a lot of classic guys is the way that they pose around their body parts and things like that. So he's elite at that for sure.
Yeah. So that's Callum Hins. Next up, we've got Muratkan Karahasanlar out of Australia via Turkey. So this guy is just really, really good for how early on in his career he is.
Mm.
Kind of like you, Matt. He like just started out his pro career with like some really like heavy hitters, like just jumped right into these tough shows and showed up and did very well. Like this guy finished third here at the Saudi Classic, like back in this was the beginning of 2023, which was his last show. But you can
Is that
see who
Mike?
he's standing
Is that
next
Mike
to.
Silverfeld in the middle?
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
you
So
go.
Mike
That's
won that show. Abdullah Al Rabia was in second, who he was third at Big Evolution last week, right
mhm.
behind Stefan and Vahid Badpe. So like these are some tough, tough guys to go up against like early on in your career. And he held his own.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's pull up an update. So this is a front double. This is from a day ago. So this would have been, well, if we're calibrating the time, this is probably closer to 3 days out. Um,
Yeah,
so in terms of what you've seen from Muratkem, what are some of his strengths?
man, that's a lot of tissue. Like that's a lot of tissue on a classic guy. It just looks very dense. Probably not quite as pretty of a shape as Cal, personally, from my opinion. But I mean, you can't deny that much muscle on a frame for sure. And it looks like it's put together really, really well in terms of like the symmetry. Um, yeah, it doesn't look like anything is a glaring weakness, especially in that pose. I obviously can't see his back and side, but you know,
Yeah.
I think classic is very much at a point now where it's who's got the least amount of weaknesses rather than who's got the best strong body parts. So I think if you've got no weaknesses on stage, it's hard to deny that for sure.
Yeah, agreed, man. This guy is just crazy dense. That's the thing that
Yeah,
stands out to me.
that's
Just
so much.
so much muscle, like you
Yeah,
said.
yeah,
And the lines are very, very clean too
mm,
for just how dense he is. And,
yeah,
sometimes when you're really dense, things can get obscured if your condition isn't on point. But this guy comes correct with every show. So
mhm.
he works with Callum, Team Pro Coach,
Okay. Well,
Callum Raystrick. So, one of the best in the game too.
for
So
sure.
I think they're going to come in and just absolutely nail this look. It's going to
Well, that,
be really fun to see.
well, that's going to be really interesting because Callum works with Dean McKillop, who works with a lot of top pros. He's an Australian coach that lives abroad, and he's known for peaking Australian athletes like perfectly as well. So, to have Ross coaching and then Dean coaching Callum, like they're both going to be. I expect them both to be peaked perfectly, personally, which gives us, the best from a fan's perspective. The best thing to watch for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a duel not only of the athletes but of the coaches too,
Yeah,
which
for
is
sure, for
very
sure.
fun to see from a
Yeah,
fan's perspective. All right, so next up we've got Jun Hyuk Kim. So this is a guy who I love his shape. So this is his pro debut. He turned pro at the AGP, one of the AGP shows last year. So this is from that. Now that archer pose really hits it
yeah.
right there. I'm gonna get a still. And if you just like look at how small this guy's waist is, it's insane. That's a little uh here we go. This front lat spread I think highlights it. This is from like when he was an amateur, but like
Sure.
this guy has such a tiny waist. It's crazy. Great shape.
Yeah, so he definitely sort of matches up from a physique standpoint a little bit closer to Callum. Like a little bit of a higher lat insertion, but super crispy detail. Um, I don't think conditioning is going to be anything that is going to be a knock in this show. I think everyone's going to try and come in pretty peeled, which is exciting.
Yeah, I can see this guy doing pretty well for a pro debut too, just because his shape carries him so far. He's like not the biggest guy in the world,
Yep,
but it looks like his condition's going to be there because like this was as an amateur as
for sure.
well.
I mean, we can
Um,
honestly expect him to have a couple of extra kilos of tissue on, hopefully.
yeah, so this was 2 weeks out. He looks bigger in the delts to me.
Yep.
It looks like the quads have grown quite a bit
Yeah,
as
those
well.
those quads are gnarly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so this is a guy I could see coming in and like definitely making some noise, provided that these are reflective of the tissue that he's added.
Of course.
Very, very strong.
I'm always kind of cautious when guys that look like that from the front, being a little bit of a smaller frame, if he turns to the side next to guys like Callum and Murat, that might be something that works against him a little bit. But if he's detailed and those legs are as crazy as they look in that photo, I don't see why he couldn't be, pushing for a top three for sure.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head, man. The side chest is going to be the pose to watch for this guy.
Yeah,
Side chest, back double.
yeah. It's always the poses that they don't post, right?
Yeah. Always, man.
Always.
Our next competitor is Naoto Takamoto out of Japan.
Mhm.
So this is from his most recent showing. This was at the AGP last year where he was in the second callouts.
Mhm.
And this guy is, really, really well put together, I think. I would just note there's one thing that I would say. His balance is good. It looks like there's a good, upper lower symmetry. He has good lats. It's just I think in terms of like the waist department, he wasn't blessed the most genetically.
Yeah.
But this guy looks very, very well put together, just very balanced in general.
Hmm.
Trying to find some more stage shots. Had to go pretty far to find
Oh
anything. These
yeah.
are interesting. That one's just one shot. Maybe we'll go back.
Doesn't post a whole lot. Is this from last year?
Yeah, I think this one's from last year. So this
Yeah.
was right before he carved up at the
Okay.
the last show, or maybe
Yeah.
this was before Tokyo Pro last year. But if we look here, I mean, he looks like he has good density too. I think,
Hmm.
you know, in terms of critiques, I would say he looks bigger just in these other stage photos. Like it looks like his delts are bigger, his arms are bigger. There's more fullness. Like I can tell the carb up makes a big difference, but
Definitely. He honestly looks, to be honest, like probably a touch spilled there. Like they're obviously trying to fill him up. Um, and from like a stomach distension standpoint, and probably just like an overall crispiness standpoint, like he doesn't quite have the same grain as a couple of those other dudes might have. That's just going off this photo, obviously. But
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd be intrigued to see what a side chest or a back double looks like, just because we're not getting any of that
Uh-huh.
um, in any of these photos. So that to me, that generally states that those are probably some of the weaker poses.
Hmm.
But again, this guy has competed on a pro stage a few times. I could see him, if he brings in the right look, battling for maybe his best look yet. So
Especially like you said, if he's competed, a couple times before and he's a bit more of a seasoned veteran in that type of a scene, and there's a couple of guys doing their pro debut, and you never know how like nerves in a pro debut can really affect someone. Um, so that could really bump him up a couple of places as well, stage presence and things like that.
yeah, agreed, man. So that is Naoto Takamoto from Japan. Next up, we have Suki Wong out of Taiwan. So this is the only Taiwanese guy competing here at the Taiwan Pro, and this
Which is
is
pretty
his pro
disappointing.
debut.
You'd think there'd
Yeah,
be more.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I think this guy's got good shape. So he turned pro. I want to say this was at the Amateur Olympia Korea last year. Um, I think the front shot's good for him. He's got good arms. I like the arms, the lats.
Yeah.
Ratios are on point in terms of
I
just
wonder
being
if that
proportionate.
I wonder if that vacuum's probably the best thing for him to hit in that pose.
Yeah, I would think so too, just given the when you look at the waist to lat ratio,
Yeah.
just generally speaking, if you're a guy, and I say this as a guy who, doesn't have the smallest waist ever, hitting a vacuum is generally your best option there, or just tilting your hips a little bit. And he could
For
probably
sure.
get away with more hip tilt.
Yeah. Is he quite young? He looks quite young too.
Yeah, I'm not sure how old he is, but he definitely brings good condition as well. And it looks like
Mhm.
he's just really added a lot of size as the years have progressed.
Yeah.
Um, and we haven't gotten any recent updates either. This was from like right before he turned pro. This is a pretty good update right here.
That's very balanced, I think. Good.
I like how he's hitting this front double right here.
I like that a lot better for sure.
Twisting back double.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
Never seen that pose before
Yeah,
on
I don't know.
stage.
I
No.
can't say I've got that in my. I don't have that in my routine. That's for sure.
Yeah, lat spread's solid too, but again, like I don't know how to judge the full physique without seeing
Mm,
you know a whole lot of back poses. It looked like, there could be more density there from this twisting shot.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also just so hard to judge because you're not seeing it, straight on in the pose.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but he'll probably be one of the more of the shape guys in this show and not quite, one of the heavily muscled guys because there's some bigger guys here. So
Which is
um
interesting because, with it being a smaller show, like judges can only judge who's there, right? So, if you've got five guys with shape and one guy that's like heavily densely muscled, then the judges are probably going to lean more to that shape. Whereas if it's a show with a lot of big, heavy guys, then they're obviously judging what's in front of them. So sometimes a smaller show can work for you or against you, depending on who else is in the show.
yeah, absolutely, man. So that is Suki Wong making his pro debut out of Taiwan. And our last guy is Ahmed Hamid from Dubai. So this is probably the biggest guy in the lineup.
He
This guy
looks
is
big, man.
huge.
He looks big, big. Yeah.
So his
Wow.
last appearance was the Dubai Pro last
Okay.
year. He placed 11th there. That was a pretty tough lineup. So 11th place there probably isn't reflective of his physique just in
Hmm.
general. Um, but
That back shot looks crazy to me. That from head to toe, he looks pretty complete in that back shot there.
yeah, and this is 6 weeks out too. You can see the
Yeah.
glutes are starting to come in.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I've seen like glute lines that far up either. That's really intriguing to me.
And they come a
Like
long way down. Like they end like halfway into his hamstring as well. Like,
yeah, this guy's just got so much muscle, man. Lots
yeah.
of width too. That stands out to me. He's gonna take up a lot of space.
Yeah. And that's what I said. Like this could work in his favor if him and Murat are two of the bigger, most muscular dudes. They might separate themselves from some of the smaller, sort of shapelier guys. Um, it just depends whether they put them in the middle or if they put them on the outside.
Yeah. I like that front lat spread too. That really highlights his strengths between the width of the shoulders, the big quads, big lats, small waist. Even though you can tell like his lats insert higher, this
Mm.
is a really, really nice shot for him.
He looks very symmetrical, like side to side, top to bottom. Like everything kind of ties in really, really well. Again, like a guy without, to me, really any glaring weaknesses, and that's a good sign.
Yeah, it's a very good sign, especially going up against guys who are on paper supposed to
Hmm.
be the favorites. This guy might surprise some people. I
Yeah,
could I could see him surprising some people.
yeah. I mean, assuming he gets his conditioning, what's this? 6 weeks? This was 6 weeks
Yeah,
ago.
this was 6 weeks out.
I mean, you would pretty safely assume that he's sort of tightened it up since then. He looks in pretty good shape for 6 weeks out.
Yeah, and I don't know. This might be the most recent thing, but that's a watch right there. So
Yeah,
um, this guy this guy very well could be in that top three. I think he's really good.
I
Um,
think so too, personally.
I'll be intrigued to see. I'll be intrigued to see him stand next to Cal, just
Hmm.
because that's a matchup where I want to see what the difference is in terms of density. Because I think if Cal holds his own against this guy, it's a really good sign for him.
Absolutely. And then I think he's going on to do Dubai in a couple of weeks as well. Callum is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's our full classic physique lineup, guys. So we're gonna go through, and Matt and I are gonna give our picks for the top three. So Matt, as a special guest, I'll
Mm.
give you the choice, man. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to?
I'll defer to you for this one. I think I'll defer.
Hey, sounds good, man.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start out in third place, and I'm gonna go with Ahmed Hamid or Ahmed Wolf as he is on the list. This guy's density and width just stands out to me, and if he brings anything like we saw in this 6 weeks out update, like he looks close to being ready there.
Mm.
The condition should be on point. The muscularity is definitely not a question whatsoever. It's really just a matter of what the judges are looking for here. I think it's just what flavor of classic do you like? Is it the big, complete look? I mean, it's not like his shape is bad by any means. He has good shape, but I do think, there's one or two guys who might be able to beat him on shape here. So I think he could be. He's one of those guys who maybe has an outside chance on winning the show. I wouldn't even regard him like as somebody who can't win the show. Maybe if I had to quantify it, I would give him like a 10 to 20% chance to win this one.
Yeah.
But the other
Well,
guys, Yeah.
bit
Probably
higher.
like 40 to 50% on the other guys, just kind of depending on where you move things around for him. But this
For
guy's
sure.
really good. I was impressed when I was looking at these updates. And this is where it gets really, really tough for me. I got the two Australian guys in the top two, and I've
Mhm.
been going so back and forth on this because they both have different strengths and they're so good in their own regard.
Mhm.
Now I'm just gonna defer here to I'm gonna just go with what I think the judges are looking for at this show. And I'm gonna go with Murat in second place here. Now I
Okay.
initially had him in first, but so I've noticed that some of the judges in Asia, now this is like, Korea, Japan, so we could see different judging here in Taiwan, but a lot of these guys, there are plenty of dense bodybuilders that are stepping on stage in some of these shows. And Murat is very dense, but he probably has better shape than a lot of guys too. I just think they go less for the size than maybe like judges over here do. That's
Mhm.
just my opinion. And I think with that it probably benefits Cal a little bit. Now, with that said, I think Murat is plenty good enough to win this show. Like I give him and Cal like very similar odds of winning here because it's gonna just be so close. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a split decision at the end of the day.
Mhm.
He's just got great lines, tons of density. He's extremely complete, so he could win this show by all means. I just think at the end of the day, I think
Mhm.
Cal probably has the best overall structure in this lineup. And for that reason, just generally speaking, the judges over in Asia tend to reward shape above all else. And I've seen some of the most heavily muscled guys in some of these shows in Asia just get pushed off to the side because they're like, we thought another guy was more classic.
Yeah.
So, I could be proven wrong here. They could definitely go another way here. I just think Cal has the best shape. He brings so many great classic qualities, the crisp lines, the proportion, the balance, no weak points whatsoever.
Mhm.
I'm going to go with Cal for the win here. So, who are
Well,
your top three, Matt?
well, now I just feel like I'm copying you. I should have gone first.
Well, to be fair,
Yeah.
it's a six-man lineup, so
Yeah.
the probability of us having the same top three is kind of high.
That's true. And like you said, I'll probably just double down on everything you said. I think Callum probably has the least amount of weaknesses in this lineup. Like you said, he's complete top to bottom. I know for a fact he's going to be inside out peeled and peaked pretty properly. With Dean McKillop coaching him, he'll be perfect, I think. And he's a guy that takes bodybuilding about as seriously as you can take it. Like he's a very meticulous bodybuilder, and I know that personally. He will be a guy that his posing will be pretty flawless. His stage present, he's done the New York Pro before. He's done some big shows before. So he's been to Pittsburgh, like you said. So being in the bright lights is not going to worry him one bit. And I think that class will show through. And like I said, he's the perfect combination, I think, of the size of those bigger guys, but also the shape of some of the smaller guys as well. And I think that will work really well for him. And then, yeah, I probably got it. I probably got Callum winning. And then it's probably a toss of the coin between second and third. I think personally, I think they're Murat and Ahmed. Like I said, they probably match up a little bit closer, I think, in body types. Um, and then, like honestly, I hope the judges make them work because there's only six of them, which would be really really cool. And that could honestly be the difference between if a guy fades or if a guy gets better as the posing goes along, then that could be the difference between second or third or even first. In this case, you never know.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are our picks for the Taiwan Pro. Matt and I both having Cal Hins winning this show. So before we get out of here, again, want to give Matt a huge shout out for taking time out of his day to just talk some bodybuilding. So you guys can find him here on Instagram. It's Matthew Orchard, which is just his name. And if you guys are looking for coaching, he offers coaching. You can click the link in his bio, use his codes, all that good stuff. Give him a follow. Great guy, great physique. But before we get out of here, Matt, you got any shout outs you want to give to either your sponsors, your people, any of the athletes competing?
Well, I do a lot of work with Muscle Nation. They're a pretty big brand down here in Australia. They look after me pretty well. So my coaching business, Peak Performance, we sort of handle a lot of stuff down here in the southeast in Australia. So definitely big ups to them. A lot of respect to them. Thank you to you for having me on. And man, it's good to talk bodybuilding with guys that love and appreciate bodybuilding. You know what I mean? It's a very niche thing, and um, yeah, it's good to just be around guys that enjoy it as much as I do, which is super cool.
Yeah, man, it's always a pleasure, dude. Just talking bodybuilding because, like you said, it's such a small community, very
Mm,
niche. But you know, we're a core group of quality guys, so it's
that's
like
it.
there's just plenty of great personalities and like plenty of people who just love the sport for what it is. So you know, it's always fun just getting to talk classic for a little bit. So
Absolutely, and then hopefully we can get a couple more Australians on the Olympia stage over the next couple of years, which will be super cool. So
I think we will, man. I definitely think there's no shortage of talent coming out of Australia right now. So I certainly hope so too, man.
absolutely,
But that's going to do it for the preview today, guys. Before you get out of here, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Like, comment, and share this video for the algorithm because I'm covering everything classic. You can follow me on Instagram as well for all the updates. CPC bodybuilding there, same as the YouTube channel. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching the Taiwan Pro. And I'm Brant. That's Matt signing out. Make sure you guys keep it classic. We'll see you later.
so yeah.